Please stand for the presentation of the flag.
Unfold the flag. Attach the flag.
Thank you. You may be seated.
When Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner almost 200 years ago, he called America the land of free and the home of the brave. Those words are as true today as they were then.
On Saturday, November 11th, 2017, our nation will celebrate the holiday called as Veterans Day. To mark this important holiday, we are pleased to honor the men and women of the armed forces with this musical salute.
Each and every day, countless sacrifices are made by the brave, men and women in our armed forces, to protect the many freedoms that each of us enjoy. Today, we salute you.
Today we are honored to have veterans among us, including Mr. Cornwall and Ms. Brown, and many of you in this audience may have friends and family that served or are currently serving in the armed forces right now.
To the veterans that are here with us today and to the families of veterans, we thank you, and we will not forget the sacrifices you have made for each of us.
World War I officially ended on June 28, 1919, in the town of Versailles, France. However, fighting ceased 7 months earlier when an armistice went into effect on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month.
In November 1919, President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed November 11th as first commemoration of Armistice Day. If this idealistic hope had been realized that World War I was the war to end all wars, November 11th might still be called Armistice Day. But in 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower changed the name to Veterans Day so that we may honor all veterans.
So this is my dad, Tom Perkins, and he is a veteran. Our class wanted to ask him some questions and get to know a veteran. So how old were you when you enlisted?
I was 18.
And how many years did you serve?
4.5.
Okay. Why did you choose to serve the country, and do you think every American should serve at some point in their life?
I do, and I just chose to serve because I want to take advantage of the college benefits, and yeah, that's just.
Why do you think people should
serve?
Yeah.
Just teach a lot of values, and there's a lot of good things that come out of it.
Okay. What was your most memorable moments and your greatest accomplishments?
Memorable moments were probably my time spent in the war, and the greatest accomplishments were just probably just getting through everything and just getting through my 4.5 years in the military.
Okay. How was your relationships like with the other men and women that were in the service?
Great. Met a lot of great people from all walks of life, and met a lot of people from all over the United States, and it was good.
Why is it important to get along with anyone and everyone if you don't really like them?
Because everybody has different views on things, and not everybody thinks the same way, and everybody has different ideas, and it's just important to, even though you have different views, not everybody thinks the same way. You just have to learn to get along.
Okay. So now questions about what you did in the war. So what types of work did you perform?
Worked on landing craft, which is a boat, and we moved troops and tanks from ship to shore.
Okay. What war did you serve in?
I served in Desert Storm, and we performed port security, and we served time in Kuwait, and we did a lot of cleanup and saw a little bit of action.
Okay. And what was life like whenever you served?
Well, it's a lot different than regular military. I mean, it's a lot more hectic, and that's when your military training really kicks in.
Yeah. All right. We just want to thank you for your service, and
All right, thank you, Darcy.
yeah.
0. Thank you to all our service members. We are all inspired by your service to our country. Throughout this nation's history, America's soldiers, sailormen, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen have bravely answered our call to defend our freedom, to aid our friends and allies, and to turn back aggressors. We can never fully repay our debts to the American service members who died in battle or were wounded.
Today, it is indeed our privilege to say thank you to all of America's veterans, to let them know that we appreciate them for their service and honor them for their sacrifices. The price of freedom is high. We cannot afford to forget those willing to pay it. Today, we celebrate Americans' veterans for keeping this nation, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Today, it is indeed our privilege to say thank you to all of America's veterans, to let them know that we appreciate them for their service and honor them for their sacrifices. The price of freedom is high. We cannot afford to forget those willing to pay it. Today we celebrate America's veterans for keeping this nation, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Some lost their friends, some lost their lives in long and brutal wars. Other veterans answered a call to support the ones who fought. Their country had requirements for the essential skills they brought.
This Veterans Day, we salute each and every one of them, the noble and the brave, the ones still with us here today, and the ones that rest in the grave. So here's to our country's heroes, their credit above the rest. Let's give the honor that is due to our country's very best.
Thank you to our honored guests, the Board of Education members, parents, and families. Thank you to Mrs. O and Mr. Boothby. Thank you to our honored guests and veterans. Thank you to all of our students and teachers who are involved in today's program.
We would especially like to thank our veterans for your service.